Alejandro from Get Me Links, welcome.
How you doing, Julian? Thank you for
Yeah,
inviting me.
doing great, thanks. Yeah, great to see you here as well. What have you been working on lately?
Oh man, oh many things. The biggest things besides, of course, getting married, which is a lot of work. Very, very happy, very rewarding work. We launched a new site for Get Me Links, and I launched my personal website at the same time. That was huge.
Congrats, man. How is it running a business and being married at the same time? Like, is that because I know like how stressful or how time consuming it can be running an agency?
Yeah. Well, I have very little experience on the part of being married while I ran a business, because I only got married about a month ago. But I can tell you, getting married while running a business, that is something. I would say just getting married by itself, right? Because all the preparation, the stakes are so high. You want to fulfill that vision that you have with your partner on what you want the day. In our case, it was like a weekend, right? Because it was in the boonies, so we gathered the families and we spent a weekend in the jungle. What you envision for that moment, your partner envisions, and making sure that everyone also has a really good time and really enjoys. And so then you have to put everything together. And we didn't engage a wedding planner, which for the more sane people out there, I would recommend that people do engage a wedding planner. But we wanted to do it like artisanally ourselves, wanted to like just do it ourselves. And we had a couple of friends, of course, that helped us immensely. But it was crazy to put it together, right? Like the last 3 months or so, while at the same time building the new site for Get Me Links, building my personal site, doing all the research, handling visas and so many other things at the same time. It was super intense, right? So it highlighted the importance of marrying the right person, because with the right person by your side, everything can be achieved, right? If had it not been the right person, I think just the tensions that happen naturally, because you still gotta work. Like I'm still working 10, 12 hours a day while planning the whole wedding and everything. And this is so important that you don't want to fail either, right? So how you do a lot of prayer is involved into the process. A lot of asking for divine mercy that you might be actually able to accomplish all the things, and just working every single waking second, either one thing or the other. And the rest is the rest is trusting that it will happen.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you handled it well, so good on you for that.
Thank you.
On the link building side of things, how are things going?
Very good. Very good. Actually, I would say I'm the most excited I've been about SEO in a long time. And because I've been doing a lot of research on Google systems over the last 8-9 months. Last time that we were together in a pod in Edward Stumps, right? We talked about that for a bit. And I've got to go so much deeper into some of the specific systems and the patterns and how different things around link building are measured, and then doing tests and polishing things that we knew this works, but now I have a much better understanding of exactly why it works and when would it work and stuff like that. So basically I'm excited because there's a lot of R&D on improving how we do things that's involved now. And so it's different from the usual I used to, right? It's like, okay, let me stay also in the seat of the student and test stuff. Yeah, very exciting.
What sort of tests have you been running?
So there's a handful of systems that I've done deep research on that now I'm working on to what degree can those be measured. So one of the ones, let me get the number, what the name of the system properly named. So this is from patent US 9558233B1, okay? Click validated quality. So that system labels 3 scores that any given page has: seed, source, and resource. And so all of what I'm going to cover on those 3 is the stuff that the industry already knows, that everyone talks about, but it's also quite easy to either misattribute certain things or over-attribute certain things. So in simple, from the same seed distance, that the whole point of why digital PR performs so well, right? Because you get links from sites that are, it's not the DR, it's that it's the BBC, and the BBC has a lot of trust, most likely because it's on the seed list, right? So it's a highly trusted website. So by association, the closer you are, the better. So that's seed distance, right? Part of some of the testing is like, okay, what happens if sites that we've been doing link building for a long time are doing well, but we don't yet have the layer of like the ultra high level links? Nobody else has it. That's why we haven't built it yet, right? But what happens if that's a differentiating factor? Let me get one link from Healthline to this one client. None of the competitors has it. It would be overkill to spend 20 grand trying to achieve that link. But what would happen when you get that close to the seeds, when no one else has that on the graph? Anyway, that's of that nature, right? In the idea of seed sources and resources, for seeds, summary of the system that it's outlined on that patent is that all pages have a seed score. Can be higher, can be low, right? Higher, better, low, not so good. And it's a function of the traffic that is referred by the links pointing to that page. So if a page has 10 links pointing to it, and only one of them refers any sort of traffic, and then what is the proportion of the traffic and so forth, that's going to give it a certain seed score. If all of the links that point to that page flow traffic and the traffic is of quality because also measures the length of the visit, same as nav boost, right? Short click, medium click, long click, right? And also the anchor text that refer the traffic. This is why the standard, right, that we all do is say, hey, the page where the link leaves pointing to what we want to rank has to be heavily related to what this page is about. Ideally, should rank for the same keyword that this page wants to rank for. That's fantastic. That's the best. Yeah, of course, because there's query transfer through nav boost. So very similar, right? Anyway, the seed score is a relationship of links and traffic flowing to the page from those links. But the seed score doesn't affect your own ranking for that page, which is the misnomer that is very easily thought. Like, hey, my links have to have traffic, and if the links that point to me have traffic, my page will do better. Not exactly. The pages that link to this page, the sources, might improve. So the source score is a function of the value, the quality of the seeds that you link to, which is the whole, you have to have external links in your content to good authoritative sources, and that improves your on-page SEO. It's actually more of an off-page thing, because when you link to strong sources, that increases, to strong seeds, that increases your source score for that page. This is why the most standard and truthful SEO advice is, hey, put links to like the government website that proves this claim here. And all the claims that you make on the page, you have to prove them with external links, right? And obviously, so you want to link to pages that they themselves have a lot of traffic and prove that those pages, your sources of information are legit. That makes you a good source, right? That makes you a trustable source. The source score directly impacts the ranking of that page. So one thing that we're testing now is the other external links on the the other external links on the pages where we get links to. Now we've been a lot more intentional to make sure that those links point to increasingly higher value pages, right? So instead of putting 2 or 3 external links, the Wikipedia page, this and that, right, that are related and are good, now we've been a lot more intentional. Like, make sure that those pages have a ton of traffic, because then the page that then links therefore to who we want to rank becomes a stronger source. So that page will do better, most likely will get to rank for what it wants to rank for, right? And so therefore, then that link will matter more. And then the last score, the resource score, also influences your ranking positively. And that's the trickier one. The resource score is a function of the value of the sources that point to you, right? So, okay, you want to get links from strong sources. How do you become a strong source? You have to link to strong seeds. How do you become a good seed? By getting traffic from a bunch of places. So how are we wrapping this now in some tests? Okay, nothing new. Like from an strategic point of view, nothing new. If we build a page that has a ton of traffic, right? Or if we identify the pages with the most traffic in a domain, and then the one page that we want to rank, we make sure that it links to all of the most traffic pages in that domain. Immediately by itself increases its source score without building any external links. And then as we build external links to that page, make sure that the links also come from pages that have other links to very strong seeds, which then increases the resource score of the one page that we're trying to rank. So improve its source score by linking out to the best pages within the domain of the client in this case, or the test website, and then improve the resource score by making sure that the external links point to the best seeds available in the whole industry, but changing nothing else. It's still the same kind of content, the same type of anchor text, the same type of websites. We just change what the external links are, besides the target page, and what the page that we want to rank internally links out to, which is not something that, as you build the links, what would you care about the internal links on the page that you're trying to rank? Normally you wouldn't so much. But now that I see this, but what changes if all we change is who else do you internally link to from that page that we're trying to rank? So that's on-page SEO. Well, yeah, well, there's no difference, right? SEO is SEO. It's just all the things. Anyway, long answer, but yeah, that's one of out of all the systems and all the analysis that we've been doing, this is one of the tests, for lack of a better word, because it's not a single variable test that you can isolate in the way that you would do with like keyword placement tests. Okay, but some of the testing and development that we're doing that I'm the most excited for.
Nice. Yeah, it's all those tiny. I mean, when I was speaking to Corey as well, it was a bit like that. Where it's all about the tiny little details that add up as well, right?
Yep.
So, for example, where you put your internal links, or who you link to, or which sort of sources you link to as well. How do you typically run your tests?
That's the part where I'm even cautious of calling it a test, right? Because it doesn't follow the kind of diligent control environment where you can ascribe very cleanly this didn't work because of X. In general, in SEO, it's increasingly harder to do that, right? Yes, sure, Calvin has a methodology for on-page stuff, yes. But so we just change the process and see, does this yield better than it normally does, right? But the whole point is like, are we coming from a better understanding of the theory? And are we getting better intelligence? And so if we're improving the pre-processes, as we implement the change, if things generally perform better than they would normally do, then okay, we would believe that to be propitious for that, given that we're not just changing something, but we don't know why we're changing it. Like, what happens if we put in blue instead of brown? Okay, but why are we making that change is the part that matters more, right? So we believe bolding the text here, and there will improve things because of this pattern that says that it will improve things. Okay, then the cause and effect relationship is a bit neater, because when you kind of isolating boxes, right? If you follow like Kyle's methodology, which funny enough he did patent, right? Like, okay, you get all these different websites, they're all the exact same site, nothing else changes, you isolate as many variables as possible.
I love it. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like we're going for a big shift in the SEO industry, particularly this year, in terms of, I've seen it on so many sides, like the agency side, but then also, what people are talking about publicly, and then also even like content that we create. I see different reactions depending on what we're creating and what sort of angle we go for. Things that were not as popular before are popular now, and vice versa as well. What sort of changes have you seen in SEO this year?
I am seeing increasingly more, which is expectable, but also a happy thing in my opinion, a more mature understanding of the value of ranking or being recommended by AIs, right? Where, as GEO appeared as an industry, there was a lot of, right? Everyone's like, okay, well, we must do this thing because it's the new hot thing. And of course, we get recommended in ChatGPT. And yes, of course, you should be recommended in ChatGPT, right? But I think the hype of the novelty made it difficult for many people to see the actual value of the opportunity for what it was at the time and what it would develop over time. And now, as there's a longer time window and we've seen more data and more research and more actual results for businesses, like the reading of it is sobering up, right? Where I'm coming from with this, last year, there were more inquiries with people says, I want to stop doing the building, but get me number one on ChatGPT. I'm like, okay, now I have to reconcile two things, two ideas that are contrary to each other. Where this year is a lot more of like, I don't want to change anything that we're doing. Can we also add some of these listicle things and stuff that I'm seeing have good results in AI overviews? But this makes sure that it doesn't hurt my SEO. Now I'm hearing that a lot more, even from the same people that as you were saying, SEO is dead. AI is the future, right? Like, yeah, AI is the future, but SEO ain't dead, right? And what was it? 3 weeks ago, came out this study that says, okay, ChatGPT is 92% of all the referral traffic from LLMs, not counting AI overviews, because AI overviews don't live in an LLM platform by itself, right? And they think, okay, so 9 out of 10 leads that you could get from LLMs are going to come from ChatGPT, right? So it's okay, amazing. Let me look at some of the dashboards from the people that I can see where the leads come from. So, okay, ChatGPT versus Google, the leads are 1 to like 100 if the company is well established on both. So like, okay, so ChatGPT is 1% of all the lead volume, and it's already 90% of all the LLM lead volume, provided that, of course, the company is equally as well established in SEO. It's a lot easier to get featured on ChatGPT though, right? Especially in certain industries, right? So in many cases, you can get on the AI overview very quickly, which people want to get on the early stages. Like, hey, can we just get there quickly and stuff because I see it's possible while we make sure that, we don't lose search. So yeah, a lot more of like that sober understanding, like, okay, yeah, SEO really isn't going anywhere. A lot of AI is massively influenced by traditional rankings. Cool, let's do the whole thing instead of like, okay, just ChatGPT. But you get there and you get 1% of all the leads you're going to get, even if you're recommended at all times.
Yeah, and also like with ChatGPT, I was speaking to RadarKit, the AI rank tracker, Jay from RadarKit. He was talking about how there's some searches where it doesn't really require a web search. And so ChatGPT is using its data from before its cutoff period, which means if you want to rank now, or if you want to rank in ChatGPT, you have to try and get in the training data now for the next time the AI updates, which I was like, that makes it so much harder. It's almost like waiting to recover from a core update as well, right?
Yep.
So one thing he was recommending was like looking at the keyword and then seeing how many times it searches the web for that keyword. And if it's one where it searches regularly for that keyword, okay, that's one to go for now. But if it's one where it doesn't use web search often, then you're going to be ranking maybe in 6 months' time if you try and rank for it at all. But it's not going to come overnight. And I think that's one thing that would be so difficult to explain to clients.
Yeah. This brings me to like sister idea to that, right? Also Jarvis has been doing a lot of research on what works and doesn't work, right? For LLMs, we had a lot of conversations about it, and he's also so generous, sharing what he knows on that. And so some of the conversations that we had there got me looking at some query fan outs in a particular project that I was looking into. And so I got me thinking, okay, so if for best whatever random business it is that we're thinking of, okay, best, since I have some fried chicken in front of me that I haven't had a chance to eat yet, best fried chicken chain in Southeast Asia, imagine, right? And let's say that that's what you want to be recommended as your new chain of chicken is going to be the king of fried chicken in Southeast Asia, right? How do you get that in ChatGPT? So on what you're saying, does the LLM already have an answer that's pretty happy about, right? If it is, it's going to be tough, right? Or is the kind of query that the LLM already knows, hey, I'm going to need some fresh data. I'm going to have to check a bunch of brands, check reviews, right? There's two layers to that. One is we're seeing increasingly more LLMs defaulting to certain brands, right? So they will like XYZ query and then put a brand or put a website as its validated source of information on what to talk about, right? So a lot of like WebMD and Healthline and sort of like tags on the query fan out for medical staff. We see that a fair bit, right? It's looking who or what product to recommend, but according already to what these 4 or 5 placements talk about, right? So like, okay, well, from a strategic standpoint, okay, if you're gonna do some listicles and you want this new device that your client that's going to market in a new country, whatever it is, right, shall be recommended in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is defaulting to only look at these 4 websites for answers, you're gonna have to get a listicle in those 4 places. Because if you get it somewhere else, most likely it's not even gonna be seen or matter so much, right? So that's something that I still haven't like mapped out in full. This is like dead queries where ChatGPT doesn't care about new information. This is like pre-approved queries where ChatGPT will ask, but it will only ask these people here. And this is queries where it will like whatever the web says, because those are the most influenceable by traditional regular SEO, right? Like if it's whatever the web says, just make sure that the web finds you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Have you what rank tracker do you currently use?
For AI and mentions, literally RadarKit as well. Work with them, super sweet. Like, and I like the way that they build the product because from what I remember, they have like all locked in sessions and users. So if you say, oh, I want to see how a brand performs in Sweden, it actually has the user there and it's pulling like local searches there. So it's a lot more geographically aware, which if you just pull from APIs, the results are whatever. So it's a result. It's nothing like the users see. And then for traditional searches, you see Ahrefs rank tracker.
Yeah, that's it. I've looked, I mean, out of all of them, even when I look at Ahrefs AI ranking tracker, I'm like, it doesn't seem to be the right fit from what I've seen so far.
Have you tried their new, what's it called, Firehose?
No. Oh, is that the new AI agent from Ahrefs?
I believe so. Yeah, it's like their own like AI visibility mentions. They launched the Let AI Do thing.
Yeah, I saw a funny post from them where they were giving away like a 7-day free trial, and then SEOs being SEOs, someone created like loads of different accounts to harvest all the free tokens from them. We ruin everything.
Listen, it's a bad combination, right? I mean, it's a good combination to get stuff done, but it's a bad combination, when you don't have like a certain set of standards for how to operate or not. We're like, okay, if you have coding capacity and gaming inclinations, right? So you can code stuff to game stuff to get results. You can get a lot of stuff done. The only constraints is like, what's the definition of right and wrong? Like, is it right to go and, the guys of Ahrefs and building 100,000 accounts so you can get them right? Probably not right,
Yeah.
Do it with code? Yeah, you might do it with code, but like, is it right?
Yeah, I know, for sure. Actually, one thing I was going to ask you about as well is like, are you still, you were talking about personal branding before. Are you still like creating YouTube videos, or how do you see yourself personal branding? I see you post a lot on Facebook as well and LinkedIn, right?
So because of the personal commitments to the wedding and stuff, and
Understandable.
the work, the last 3 months I've mostly been focused on making sure that we serve everyone on the agency well, and then the new game meetings website. But I've finally launched my own site, and so now I'm going to be doing a lot more content around the very research that I've been putting on my website, which I've done for me, right? So that I continue to polish my understanding of SEO. Things like the DOJ v Google case, this antitrust case where they actually reveal a lot of how nav boost really works and a lot of different click-based systems, right? So I've done a lot of research on that, and there's so much substance there that is very valuable for anyone who does SEO. And clicks actually determine a lot of what ends up being the real rankings. Right? It's not just signals, it's not just factors. It's like what happens when real users meet your website. Well, NavBoost has a lot to say, right? So I will be doing a lot more videos now just to cover the same stuff that I have on my website, just make it in video format. And yeah, that's sort of like where I have my mind now, is just go on YouTube and just the proper coverage of all the stuff that I've been spending so much time researching and testing.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. It's like document what you're doing, then you learn along the way. But also you position yourself as an expertise, as an expert, just by being there and just by sharing stuff. And also, I think a lot of SEOs are scared to share their research publicly. They're scared to show their experiments and the case studies publicly.
Yeah, and I can kind of understand it, right? Because there's always the this is my edge, right? If I figure set X, Y, and Z, then other people don't figure it out, and this is my edge. In a way, yes, but I guess also it depends of like your edge in which case, right? Because it's what game are we playing? If I'm playing the game of knowing more than the guy next so I can beat that guy, yes, right? If playing the game of like, I just want to do the best SEO I possibly can, share it with the world, it's going to help people, right? Some people will learn something, they will change the way that they do SEO, they will get better performance, right? It's all in the doing. Right, at this point, like with AI especially, at some point, all the information and so forth, all the data. I was just chatting with a friend on this, so like the hierarchy of knowledge, so to speak, or it's how we know data, and then you aggregate it into like knowledge, and then from there you extract wisdom and so forth, right? So at some point, all these, what works, what doesn't work, or all the intelligence aspects of SEO, it's going to get massively simplified, and it's going to be mostly of, will you sit down and spend the hours and do it? That's going to be the biggest thing, right? There's so many fantastic channels in YouTube teaching how to do tons of crazy things with AI. Will you sit down, watch the videos, download the tools, crack it open your website and start applying the stuff that Julian teaches? That's because that's the edge. Will you do
I feel like that's 1% of people as well,
Yeah.
Like everyone has the answers and they're right there, but most people don't take the action. The other thing I've seen as well is on the, for agencies particularly, I feel like it's a big volume game now. Like if I look at the amount of content people create this year versus say like a couple of years ago, before it was like, 1 or 2 videos a week. Now it seems to be like 1, 2 videos a day. The standard's always raising for content creation and getting attention. That's the other thing I've seen.
Yeah, I'm not strong in the video content game yet, right? In due time, provided that's the will, then that's what will happen, right? But conceptually, I can see from where a lot of that comes from as well. Okay, if the systems for production are increasingly more efficient and more capable, right? If you don't actually need a full cohort of editors and creators with, Claude and Remotion and some hours of figuring out a system, now every video is increasingly faster to put together, right? I know you've been doing like full-blown SEO, AI videos, even with an AI avatar and everything, right? Like, I'm sure that took you an absurd amount of time to get to the level where you can do those videos, right? To figure out all the systems, all the piping, all the frameworks, hardware, software, all that. But then you can just have full videos that don't actually require your own time anymore to be produced, right? Now, again, that's kind of like where the edge is. Can you put all that time into figuring out how to spend an hour doing a video instead of 100 hours or spending 1 minute or 10 minutes, whatever it is, right? And then because increasingly more people will figure it out, once one person figures it out and packages and sells it, and the next person just has to buy the course or buy the system, right? Then it's like, okay, well then what's the bar, right? Okay, all these videos kind of then look and feel and say the same. So it's going to be all saliency. Like who can do the stuff that is actually exceptional, right? The volume game is the volume game. The volume game will always yield some sort of results. But then I think we'll move into like what becomes like so salient that, okay, you must watch this video because this is the best videos being put out this week. 1 million videos were put out, but this one is the most remarkable of them all. I think that will continue to work.
Yeah, like a quality game.
Yeah, my hope is that the volume game will result in an elevation of quality instead of a degradation, which was my original concern about AI. Like so much slop that the web might become unusable, right? But if slop dies because it's a slop and nobody wants to watch slop, then okay, we'll use AI, but we'll make it good, right? So it'll be less sloppy, and then eventually it's just better, hopefully.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think quality is a big part of it if you want to stand out now. And then also stakes. I feel like, for example, if I look at someone like Alex Hormozi, for example, he's just started this contest, and it's like a series where people can win like $1 million or something like that. It's like he's focusing on content. Well, the stakes are real, and so you can't fake that with AI, and no AI can compete with that. Because if it was like an AI with $1 million in AI money, nobody cares. But if it's like Alex Hormozi putting his time and his money and real money into it and real people, then all of a sudden it becomes something that's higher stakes. So you can't fake anywhere else.
He's Mr. Beastin.
He's Mr. Beastin. He is definitely Mr. And Mr. Beast won't get replaced either.
There you go. Yeah.
Without reason. Yeah. Have you gone?
So like, I believe that's why some of your original series were so insanely popular, because you were so public about the sites that you were building and the experiments that you were doing. Like you were actually putting skin in the game and taking a chance that some of the sites wouldn't rank or that you would get clapped and so forth. But people watch, and it was exciting to watch, right? So because again, it's real.
Yeah, 100%. It's like the people that I see do the worst on YouTube, particularly in the SEO space, they're just like talking about something that's totally theoretical. You can kind of almost feel that they haven't tested it themselves. And like, if you can't just pull up a search console screen and be like, listen, these are my analytics, these are the rankings that we got. I think that's why Core as well is so popular, because like his latest case studies, it's like, right, here's a website that went from 0 to 8,000 clicks a day. You can't fake that.
Yeah. And then he has the whole provenance, like, and this is why we made these decisions and why visual semantics comes from, the stuff. He can do the full circle. I mean, he's in a separate category, I would say, from, he's got the full cycle. It's got like, understands theory, intelligence, but gets it done, deploys it, lands, shows it, it's got the receipts.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Have you come up with any sort of new services or new offers around your link building agency? Like, for example, for us, one thing we're working on is like LLM Optimization, and that'll probably be a new package that we sell. And we'll just test the waters and see if people are interested. Have you looked at anything like that?
We've got two things. One is something that we already do for our clients, and one is one that we'll start doing soon. You could say it's LLM optimization, but that's not necessarily the main purpose. So yes, of course, different kinds of link building for different situations. We always fine tune different ways of getting links for different cases, so we can operate with more people. But that's not necessarily anything different. The biggest newest thing that we're already doing is, you could call it on-page SEO, but specifically it's like a full scope. And what we do is we slice any given page 3 ways. So, Google has the content quality rater guidelines, right? This massive, almost 200 long page document. I believe the number that's believed on the industry is like 16,000 people, right? We're rating websites, describing all these different EAT values. Like, is the footer good? Is this image good? Can I find the name of the founder? Do they have testimonials? Are they legit? All the different things, right? And so that train a machine learning model. And now Google kind of like algorithmically through an AI do content quality rated guidelines evaluation of websites without humans. Right? Okay. So if we know that is happening, how can we make sure that the content meets what the content quality rated guidelines say should be met without ourselves reading 192 pages long documentation and becoming proficient like a rater would, right? Train an AI, right? So train an AI on the content, on the system, and then have it compare the page against document and come up with a weighted list of things that matter. That's already going to give anyone a whole list of things to improve on the content that will make it sincerely better for people, therefore for SEO, because of click data. Cool. But then also for SEO, what do we know from hard tests, from hard changes and principles that improve SEO. The most basic on-page thing is like, are your headings in the right order, right? Because if they're not, like pages don't perform as good as when you put the headings in the right order with right entities, right? Like that's the beginning of running anything through Surfer or Pop or anything. Is just the first thing, like, okay, this is the first issue, right? Okay, so like that, but like a bunch of other things, the same content, right? Just different way of looking at it, also through an AI. You're looking for this, puts all together. And then the last is like, what do we know? What kind of content we know that AI likes to quote? It loves facts and figures and statistics. It loves certain structures of sentences, right? It loves when those things can be verified through third parties that either link to you or you link to them, or you can associate the both documents. It likes to quote authors that it already knows, like, okay, entities, same as search, right? So if we have the content looked at from these three different dimensions, right, the different angles, and say 3 different reviewers, each one of them solving for one thing, they're going to agree on certain things, like your content needs to have, these numbers and these facts, and this is your money of your life. You need to mention this regulation and put a link to the government site that has the full canon of that regulation. Of course, that's basic SEO, right? But be able to do it at scale very thoroughly. So that we've developed already, have a full system to run those. It surfaces everything that could possibly be fixed on a page. And then the next thing was to, okay, but then that needs to be shown to somebody who's not an SEO, right? Business owner needs to see, okay, this is my local electrician business in some small town that I'm number 4. I want to be number 1. I don't know why the 3 guys on top of me are better than me. I already have more links than them. What to do? So, okay, well, but if your content is missing something, so the brand is missing something, that's not a possibility, right? Then you run all of that, says, okay, do all these changes. How's the guy going to do it, right? He's busy. He's got his trade to do, right? So, okay, we can do it. But then how is my website going to look once you guys do all those changes? So the next step was to put a mock-up pipeline together. So all the recommendations on the documentation is just documentation. What we send you already is like, hey, this is your website with all of these changes applied. So you can see your site and your site with all the changes applied. And it has like little boxes that says, this is why we changed these, and this is how it looks, and you can toggle it, right? Like old version, new version, right? So then I says, oh, okay, so I get to visualize my entire site with all the changes. You can get to approve or not approve certain changes, and then you can just move that to the actual site as the last step, provided that it's WordPress, a handful of platforms I can very easily integrate, where you can deploy all the changes very easily. So it goes from, I know I need to improve my content, I don't know how, and then maybe you get a Page Optimizer Pro report, or you just have a junior SEO doing on page, and then the page got changes, we don't know what changes, we don't know the reason behind all of those things, to like, how to improve this page? It says, make it like this, and you physically show the website with all the changes before you build them. It says, and this is why, right? So if you have questions about any of those things, you have the full documentation. So that we're doing for other people, that we're also doing in building, where we can see, okay, yeah, the website is here, they're competing against this, we need to put both sides on the same level, right? And then the other thing is in relationship to what we're talking about, like seed source and resource, right? How do we create a strong seed pages within our domain? Well, we want pages that attract a lot of links with traffic, and then we want to link to that page internally, and we want to link out of that page. Cool. Calculators are crazy. I just finished a research piece on 2 different XYZ calculator type of keywords, and see who ranks for those. Different search volume, right? From like almost like 1 million searches all the way to like 20 searches a month. And 48% of the time, the calculator page itself is the highest traffic page on the whole domain.
Wow.
Many of these are like small brick and mortar businesses that just build one calculator who's freaking killing it. And the vast majority of the time is also the most linked to page on the domain, even above the homepage. So the difficulty before was, you need a developer, you need to come up with the idea, right? Build a good calculator, host it, put it on the site, all these different things, right? Now it's like, can you come up with ideas of the kind of stuff that your clients are already asking you about, and then just open Cloud Code and crack together one and slap it on Cloudflare and put it on the domain, because it's an afternoon. And if you can do that, and over a year, it attracts 20 links that you can't even buy, and then you have a massively traffic page, and then you have an asset on your website that is ridiculously good for your SEO. We're going to start doing like calculator development and like linkable assets development for clients based on calculators and utilities. Because now it's just, can you be creative about what you build and make it look pretty and actually solve the problems of the user? And then that's one thing that we're going to start doing.
That's a great one. Yeah, there's a great tip as well. We actually did something like that. We created an enterprise SEO ROI calculator, just like super long tail keyword, and it was ranking within 24 hours. And last time I checked, it was still ranking. It's crazy.
There you go.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for jumping on, Alejandro.
A pleasure, brother. Thank you very much for inviting me again. It's always nice to chat with you.
You too. You too. Is there anything we can link to in the description for you?
Yeah, you can link to both getmelinks.com or alejandromeyerhans.com, which is my research website if people are interested on reading some very long pieces on how SEO works, and otherwise my LinkedIn.
Perfect. All right, we'll link to this. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Julian.